Okay, this is going to be a video of encouragement. Along our journeys, we all go through this very deep, scary part of it where we're unsure of things. We're, you know, afraid and in shame and guilt of our past, and we're worried and anticipating and thinking and dwelling on the future. And so this video, and I'm going to read. I'm in communication with somebody who asks to remain anonymous, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to not read their full correspondence with me, but I'm going to touch on the points, and then I'm going to read my response back to them. I think this is going to help a lot of people because we all go through, in our journey phase, we all go through this part of it. And in order to break anything and in our healing, whether it be our addictions, the programs, the habits, the demons, the monster under the bed, whatever it is not going to go away by avoiding it, is not going away by saying, oh, it doesn't bother me. It's not going to go away to say, well, I don't give it any attention anymore, so, it doesn't matter. It's not, the past is the past, and I can't do anything about it. No, we have to, in order to move on and fix us, whether it be this physical avatar, or our emotional being, our spiritual being, our mental being, we must face the things that have caused the damage in the first place. Because until we face these things and process these things thoroughly and completely, we cannot move on. Because those things will always be there to trip us up, haunt us, and, recycle this abuse and pain and trauma onto us, unless we are fully aware of all the mechanisms in play that caused us to be in those situations in the first place. So I think this video is going to really help a lot of people understand the darkest and scariest part of this journey. I actually just made this video just now, right before I started this one. It was a 45-minute long video, and I went to go upload it, and it disappeared off my computer. So I am making it again, and okay, here it is. I'm making it again, and this is a very important message for anybody that is, dealing with oppression, depression, anxiety, fears, worries. And what we're going to go over is how there is no, the past is the past. We can't change anything about our past, and how the future is in the future, and we don't even know what's going to happen tomorrow, more or less, years from now, or when we die, or what the Matrix holds, or are we going to be, reincarnated? None of that shit. Nobody can tell you. There's no experts, there's no gurus, there's no enlightened beings out there, there's none of that out there that's going to be able to give you the answers to these things. These answers lie within ourselves, and they come with our healing, because we know everything that we need to know. It's just we have been so bamboozled and afraid to trust ourselves that we think that the answers are lying somewhere outside ourselves, when they're lying within us. And this healing will reveal that one simple fact to you. So this person says that they're very excited for the healing journey, but also very scared. They're afraid of the resets, that when the next one happens, they will not be at their far enough into their healing journey to be prepared to not be reincarnated back here, because they're not fully healed and whole yet. They're afraid of dying without an exit plan out of here. And then they're scared for their family members not, being healed and being in that same situation. They're afraid that because they're still dealing with addictions, that will hold them back and cause them not to be able to move on out of this hell realm. They are looking for ways to guide their children. And they talk about how difficult it is when you're not even healed completely and you're still wounded, and yet you're responsible for these beings. They speak of how a very special person to them, who was actually the one responsible for rescuing them from their abusive parent, died recently, not knowing this information, and that it bothers them that person is going to have to come back here and live through all the horrors again. That person's death was actually the catalyst for them to go searching for life after death, for those answers. And that quest has led them at first into the New Age for a little bit. And they figured out that wasn't the right thing. And they dug deeper, and then it landed them here, which I'm not sure by here exactly what they're referring to. I'm going to assume it means where they're at right now in their journey, referring to the reincarnation, the soul trap, and all of that. They say they understand how important it is to only focus on yourself and heal first, and how important it is to be honest even when it comes to facing your fears. So, again, this is a very deep, this is the deepest, darkest part of this journey, I think. As a parent especially, when you're responsible for other beings, and what is your ultimate responsibility now for that, and how do you move on from that, and how do you deal with these stressors? So this is my response. Thank you for sharing. We find ourselves in a strange place and wonder how we got here, why we are here, and what happens next. Your fears and worries are completely understandable. Most people get a small glimpse of the truth and turn and run. We are facing the scariest thing we could ever imagine. Our own insecurities, doubts, fears, shortcomings, past wrongs, etc. We are jumping into the unknown head first and refusing to hide from what we find. Not only are we taking on our demons, monsters, addictions, programs, habits, etc., but we are doing it while at the same time we are refusing to believe in an outside savior, hero, or almighty loving God. We are coming to terms with the fact that there is no safety net and everything is up to us. Realize how absolutely brave and courageous we are to take on such a monumental task. And that's important to realize, guys. That takes the most extreme amount of courage there is to do this. And not many people will do it. People, they get a glimpse of this and they turn around and dig themselves so deep into their addictions and distractions because they don't even want to imagine that any of this is real, what we go over in these videos and what we communicate here. The fact that we would even consider to continue in accepting whatever comes from our critical thinking and not blowing ourselves off as inadequate to the task is a testament to the deep inner understanding and knowing that we are capable and powerful beyond what we can even imagine at the moment. We are proving daily and moment by moment that we trust ourselves. We are proving that we care about ourselves and will do whatever it takes for our health and our well-being. We are displaying the most honorable qualities to be found on this earth: personal responsibility, discipline, courage, and honesty. We are a minority. We take on these seemingly endless and insurmountable challenges while not even having an assurance of what waits on the other side. Either we are completely batshit crazy, or we are some of the most amazing humans to ever have existed. I think that if we were to die right now, we have so strengthened our will and proved that we are willing to do whatever it takes to live in truth, fact, and reality, that it would be impossible for us to be reincarnated back here. This place doesn't want people like us. We are of no use to the system. I think that we have matured on a level where we will not be bamboozled, coerced, or forced to come back here. There are all kinds of leaders in this whole soul trap line of thinking that proclaim to know how to exit and not come back, etc. No one can tell anyone what that truth really is. That truth resides in us. And I'm going to be going into that a little bit more in the next video. If this one posts, hopefully it doesn't erase this time. But I'll be going into that because I've had correspondence with someone else that, was asking me to touch on that, and opened up some insights and some introspection for me to be able to go a little deeper into those things, because I know a lot of people are, interested in wanting to know deeper about those things and wondering what is going on. We must have confidence in knowing that we are doing all the right things by addressing all these issues, leaving no stone unturned, trusting in our judgment, critical thinking, and intuition, and will not go back to our old ways no matter how difficult it gets. Living in truth, fact, and reality, no matter what the outcome is the most worthy, true thing we can do. All we have is this moment. We do not know what tomorrow brings. We can't change the past. By asserting our will and consciously choosing in everything we do to forego instant gratification, distraction, and pleasures of this material illusion, in exchange for the freedom of exercising that will, has to be one of the most admirable and important aspects of the reclamation of our souls and our innate wholeness. To choose that which brings us no pleasure and no certainty of results over all the worldly physical pleasures this world has to offer is proof of the integration of the soul and reclaiming of our birthright. I choose to see that by doing this, we have separated ourselves from what this place desires and serve no more use to it. As long as I keep remaining present and living in this manner while I am here, it matters not if I were to get taken out at any moment, because there will be no surprises upon the release of my soul from this avatar. I have prepared my body, mind, and soul for death, and know that when I am unburdened of this meat suit, that I will finally be free, and I will not be forced or fooled again into anything. Until I am free, I will live every moment as if it were my last, with no regrets for it. In living every moment as my last is the job of the soul. That was the responsibility of the soul, being the pilot, the driver of this extremely advanced biological avatar, is to take care of it, to not poison it, to not succumb and wallow in addictions and things of a physical, material, consumerist nature that intentionally destroy, poison, and disease this avatar. So that is what I mean by living every day like it's my last. Not going out there and, drinking, drugging, fucking, entertaining myself, gorging on poisonous toxins, and satisfying the lusts that have been programmed into the ego, and desires and addictions and habits and that have been programmed into the ego that kill this physical body and poison this physical body. That is not living every day like it's your last. That is a scared child in an adult's body that thinks in that way. As far as children go, As far as children go, that is a difficult one. We must understand that we are unable to save anyone, and that we all have our own lives here. Through my healing, the most important insight I've had on love is that it does not cling, but lets go. And if you guys haven't watched my video on my other channel, Richard Swink, it's if you go to the playlist My Writings, it's my I do a video on love. I wrote a short essay or whatever you would call it, or short story on my musings. I believe it's called My Musings on Love. But I go deep on what I see is love, and that I find quite interesting. If you guys are interested in seeing that video. Through my healing, the most important insight I've had on love is that it does not cling, but lets go. I have had to come to terms and fully process this with my 19-year-old daughter and my 14-year-old son. There is no easy answer on that matter, but we cannot make decisions for them or force them into anything. I understand you know this and are merely referring to the heartache and sadness of carrying that burden. But we must remember that we chose to carry that burden, and we must live with whatever results have come from our past choices, and only use them as a source of deep introspection and learn from experience. Your children are extremely fortunate to have you, and I won't read that. So, guys, we can't, those of us who have children, we cannot get lost in our grief, sorrow, regret, shame, guilt for, first of all, bringing those poor innocent souls into this shit show for 99.9% selfish and ego reasons. But, these children, especially by the time they're 12 years old, they've already established themselves. They've already found their coping mechanisms, their addictions, their dopamine hits, their whatever they need to cope in this place they've found. So, we can't control them. We can't physically take them and now reprogram them and fix them with the new knowledge we have of responsible individuals now. All we can do is be an example to them. All we can do is show them what aligning our thoughts, words, and actions and living in truth, fact, and reality is, and what it truly means to give that attention to ourselves and how you are supposed to take care of yourself by not intentionally poisoning yourself with, these toxic, poisonous cooked foods and all that. And, if you are sitting there, on Sundays and your kids see, and you're like, well, this is the only pleasure I still ingest in is football. And you're watching 4 hours of football, 8 hours of football on Sunday while they're running around, and that's one of your only days off, and you should be spending it with them or taking care of yourself. You're sitting there worshiping other grown men that are running around in tights, throwing a ball around and wrestling each other. Then that is not a good example to them. If you're sitting there and when you're stressed out, you go shopping and they see you come home and you're like, I love this new person, you're bragging about these things, and then you tell them you love them, that is not a good example to them. That is showing them what a hypocrite is. So you have to, in order to recompense to your children, the only thing you can do is change your ways and start being the proper example and showing them how a human is supposed to live by having your thoughts, words, and actions aligned, and living in truth, factor, and reality, facing your shit, not dodging things, not hiding from things, not running away from things, taking care of things, looking at things honestly. So you got to display personal responsibility, your discipline, your courage, your honesty. Those are the things your kids want to see. Everything else you say, they don't give a fuck about, because our kids see us as hypocrites no matter what. Unless we are doing these things that I'm speaking of. They see you as a hypocrite because, again, they see you, indulging in all these pleasures and not focusing on you and not taking care of your shit, but you expect them to take care of their shit. Or you're sitting there wallowing in your sorrow and guilt and, oh my God, I'm responsible for bringing them here and all this. And that's not going to do anything for anybody. Nobody, certainly not them, and definitely not you. So, it's all pulling your attention back to the here and now and focusing on the here and now and what you're doing now, because that's the only thing that matters. I said, I will add this: fear. False is an acronym. False emotions appearing real. We weren't born with these feelings of fear, worry, doubt, anxiety, stress, lack, and desire. These are constructs that were all programmed into us through relentless, abusive, and traumatic experiences in these unnatural, traumatic environments for the sole purpose of keeping us separated from our wholeness and separation of our innate powers. This is a mind game, and the only way to win is to take back ours. The emotions that you are describing above are doing nothing to help in your journey and nothing for the people you are feeling them for. You are in a dark place at the moment with having to process these thoughts, emotions, and feelings, and bravo to you for having the courage to open up and share. Keep facing these things as they come and ask yourself. Now, this is important what I'm about to read. All of these things, okay, in our healing journey, we're breaking our addictions to food. We're breaking if you watch my 60-day healing update I'm posting right now on the Richard Swink channel, you'll see how I'm breaking that addiction to food and processing that. So all of these things, that the common denominator in breaking all of these things are fears, doubts, worries, breaking addictions, breaking habits, breaking programs, is addressing it thoroughly, taking that thing, pulling that monster from the closet and sitting him down and having a conversation with him and calling these demons out on your own terms and saying, come here, motherfucker, we're gonna take care of this shit right now. I'm tired of you haunting me. I'm tired of you controlling me. I'm tired of you putting me in fear. I'm tired of you scaring me. And we are going to address them. So you have to not go, oh, the past is the past, and think your childhood is all good now because you avoid it. You have to take, until you take and you dissect that childhood and you dissect it, and the introspection goes all the way down to the root of all the pain and trauma you went through. Until you do that, these things will not be fully processed, and they will always be there lurking in the corner of your existence, waiting to jump out and trip you up or scare you and stop you. And this is the same way, even with alcoholics, drug addicts, food addicts. It's the same thing, guys. They can quit for a decade. They can quit for decades, and then all of a sudden something happens and it triggers them again. And that trigger is that unhealed aspect that they just brushed over and avoided in their healing process. These things have to be fully dealt with and fully confronted and thoroughly examined and analyzed in order to break these things and fully never have to deal with them again and move through them and become stronger and more whole. So now this is the process. This is the questioning process. So I told this person, keep facing these things as they come and ask yourself, where are they coming from? Where are these thoughts coming from? Where are these fears coming from? Where are these worries coming from? And then and get deep into it. Get deep into where they're coming from. How are they benefiting you or your journey? Are they benefiting me? Thinking of these fears and having these worries. Is there any benefit whatsoever to having these things? If there is, okay, the only benefit there would be is to process, recognize, accept that you're feeling and having these emotions and thinking like this, and then get further into it. Well, why? Why am I having this feeling, emotion? Why am I feeling like this? Does it help to fantasize these things? Does it help to be stuck in the future and what's going to happen when I die and worried that you're going to get reincarnated back here? That worried that you're not healed enough? Worried that you're not? Or is that all a sign of you just haven't strengthened your trust in yourself yet and you have more work to do? And that through that work and through that healing, those types of things aren't even going to matter anymore because you're going to be so sure, confident, and courageous in yourself that none of those what if scenarios are going to have any kind of effect in you whatsoever because you are so solid. You have such a solid foundation. And that's the thing, guys, is that we've all built ourselves up on these house of cards. We live in glass houses, and all it takes is a strong wind and we're fucked. Our foundation is going like this, and next thing we know, we find ourselves all over the place again. So that's why it's so important to get to the root of these things. Are they real or are they imagined? Are these thoughts I'm having and these worries and fears, are they even real? Or is it something that I've heard from somewhere, from somebody else, or that got planted in my consciousness? Is it something that the only way I would even be thinking these things is if somebody else told me? Is it coming from inside me or is it coming from outside of me? Because also these ELF-RF signals are extremely real. Do a test. Go outside. When you start getting bombarded with like these weird thoughts and you're like, not even, some people hear voices. Some people aren't that sensitive to be able to hear the voices. But they're, riding on these ELF waves and these low frequency and RF waves it are all kinds of messages that are just bombarded constantly, 100% all day long, every day, in every home. Because it's just riding it's riding along the plumbing lines, the electrical lines. It just rides through everything in your house, and your whole home is just bombarded with these ELF signals. And can you imagine subliminally? You're here because you can hear it subliminally. You can't pick up on these consciously, but you can hear them subliminally. Now, some people are extremely sensitive and are able to actually almost physically hear these things, or at least hear them in their head. And, those are the ones we call schizophrenic and crazy and, psychotic and everything else. It's just they're extremely sensitive. So do an experiment. Walk outside. Go out in nature and see if those voices and those thoughts and that shit goes away. And then you'll see, okay, well, now I see that when I'm stuck in my house, I'm being bombarded with these signals that are contributing to why I'm feeling like this. Are there other possible scenarios other than the supposing of doom and gloom in this scenario? So what I just went through right there, all those questionings is extremely important, guys. If you sit with these things, again, and if you want to see how to break that food addiction, you'll see in my 60-day juicing update video I'm posting now on the Richard Swing channel of how the process I'm using to break the food addiction. And it's very similar. It's like breaking it down all the way and questioning and facing it all, every aspect of it. We are facing these false emotions and taking back control of our thoughts and actions. By processing thoroughly what we are experiencing in our head, bodies, and hearts, and getting to the root of why we are even experiencing them, is a huge part of our journey. That introspection is so important, guys. And as you heal, you'll be able to I've gone through so many phases of this healing now that when I just think, okay, well, I've thought all the way down to the bottom of this, I'll make a breakthrough a few days later. And then all of a sudden I find my introspection being able to go even deeper on all subjects, everything, and then getting even deeper into it and question even deeper and figure out the mechanisms and the mechanics of even deeper. And guys, I'm not trying to make this seem like it's extremely, difficult and takes all that. It's actually extremely simple. Everything's actually extremely simple. It's just, it just feels complicated because we have all of these issues and these fears and worries that, again, false emotions appearing real, that are just occupying our time and attention and energy instead of focusing on the only thing that matters, which is the here and now, right here, right now. What are we doing? What are we thinking? What are we feeling? What are our emotions? And what actions are we taking? Otherwise, nothing else matters. And if you're worrying about your future, that you're not doing enough, then do something. It's that simple. If you need to rest, rest. If you need to take a break, take a break. As long as you don't wallow in them and keep acknowledging and questioning deeply, as I mentioned above, you will eventually move through to the other side, and these things will be a past story of your struggles. And guys, they'll go away, but it's not like it only takes a week of facing them. It's not like it only takes 2 weeks. It can take months. You might have to go through this deep, dark space for months of processing. Everybody's got their own journey. Everybody's got their own past that they have to work through to get up to where they're at and properly address things. So, I can't tell you what the time span is that. Only you know that, and only you control that by your dedication to focusing your attention and energy on what needs to be addressed in order to be able to heal and move on. You are the private investigator of your life, the forensic scientist, the archaeological expert that is dissecting and analyzing every aspect of your being and reclaiming your birthright. Exactly right. You are the expert. You are no longer going outside yourself looking for the answers. You are no longer going outside yourself when you're unsure of anything. You are no longer going outside of yourself when you don't feel confident, when you don't feel... The only thing you should be going to is other people's stories of healing and struggles, so that way you can see that you're not the only one, that we're all dealing with this, we're all enslaved, that we're all having these obstacles, that we're all under oppression, that we're all diseased and uncomfortable, and that we're all having issues and problems, and we're all realizing these things. So that's the only thing I recommend going outside yourself for, because everything else outside of you is just trying to steal your attention. All it wants is the one thing in this world that matters and is of value to us is our attention, and everything outside of us wants to steal that. When you're in school or when you're younger, what they used to say, pay attention. Listen to those words, pay. The only other thing you pay is money. But they always said, pay attention. Okay, think deeply about these things. These are very simple. You are extremely courageous and honest, and that is beautiful and human. You will continue to find success and advancement in your path to reclamation, and your children are receiving the best guidance through your alignment of thoughts, words, and actions, as they only care of the example we set for them. Remember to be easy on yourselves, and that all we can control is ourselves in the here and now. Glad to have you along on my journey, and as it has encouraged and inspired me in many ways. And again, just by that honest communication, it inspires me, it encourages me, it lets me see that, I'm not crazy for sharing my own emotions, my own thoughts, my own journey, my own struggles, my own truths. You know, there's other people out there, and when they share, it gives me strength, courage, and it helps with my introspection. It helps with my insight. It helps see the human in me, the ego that I'm dealing with. It helps me see the addictions, how real they are, how the programming's so real. So, you know, very important, guys. But I hope this video helps a bunch of people. You know, you got to keep your heads up. We all go through this very difficult phase, especially those of us as parents who are, you know, carry that burden of being responsible for others' lives. But again, you know, there's only so much we can do, and the only thing we can do if we've been responsible for bringing someone else into this world is to be a proper example for them by showing them that, you know, we are worthy of taking care of ourselves and not intentionally ingesting poisons and not worshiping things outside of ourselves, like lying politicians and entertainment and politics, and, you know, grown men in tights running around playing with a ball, you know, and wrestling each other. That's not, our kids are going to look at us, and that is not the example we want to set for them. We want to show them what it means to align our thoughts, words, and actions, what it means to live in truth, fact, and reality, and not be playing fantasy land, what it means to address our issues as they come up with courage and honesty instead of running away from problems and issues, what it means to not, you know, to not be a hypocrite and tell them we love them and then say we love our purse and we love our this and we love our that material possession, and, you know, not to be spending all of our time at a job, at a dead-end job, working for, you know, fake money and, you know, buying them things and thinking that because they know, our children know, they see through all that horse shit, they know what the truth is, they know what's really going on, and they look at, if we're not doing these things properly and aligning our thoughts, words, and actions and behaving in such a manner that is conducive to the health and well-being of this biological avatar that we inhabit, then we are not being the proper example. So hope that helps you guys. Please leave your comments, maybe your struggles and your suggestions on how you're getting through and healing from these things yourself. But yeah, feel free to share your insights down below and your encouragement for others. And remember, take care of yourself because nobody else will.